Welcome to my channel. Today we are doing Herpes Anonymous. I feel trapped in my marriage, and I have special guest, Essence, the sex enthusiast, is here with us. Hi, thank you so much for doing
Hi.
this with me. Please let everybody know who you are.
Hi, I'm Essence. I am a self-proclaimed sex enthusiast. I'm also a herpes advocate. I've had herpes since November of 2020. I was diagnosed. And I'm just on the internet living my life and sharing my experience and hoping that people want to join me on my journey.
Yes, I love it. I love it. So, are you ready for today's story?
Absolutely. Let's get into it.
Okay, all right. So I had asked everyone in the community to email me their anonymous people who want to share their story but don't feel
Mhm.
comfortable, putting themselves out there or letting the world know that it's their story. Send
Mhm.
me their stories through email anonymously. And the story we got today is called Trapped in My Marriage. You ready?
Ooh, okay, let's get into this one.
All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it.
Shoot,
I
I
was
got my
like,
tea.
yep. So I was diagnosed with herpes around late 2006, early 2007. My first outbreak was on my butt. At the time, I was sleeping around a lot and I had only met the guy I caught it from about a week before we had sex. He wore a condom, but I still caught it. Soon after, the guy gave me another STD. So I decided to cut things off. A few months later, I met my husband. I was very insecure about revealing my status because I was embarrassed and ashamed. I told my hubby a day after we had sex, and he still stayed. We've been married for 11 years, together for 14 years, and have two kids. Sometimes I feel trapped in my marriage because of herpes. When I first married my husband, I fell in love because he still accepted me with HSV, but he also had genital warts, which is HPV.
Mhm.
He knew before we met, but we never got tested. I feel so stuck in my marriage. Thank you for everything that you do. However, I'm not confident enough to tell the world. Only my mom, sisters, and aunt know.
Oh.
It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, that was a lot. She started with a whole bunch.
It's a whole lot to unpack here. So let's just go with the first little snippet.
Mhm.
At the time, I was sleeping around a lot. I've only met the guy I caught it from about a week before we had sex. He wore a condom, still caught it. Soon after, the guy gave me another STD, so I decided to cut things off.
No,
Would
she should
you,
have cut it off, but we're not going to talk about that.
would you have stayed?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. Okay.
No.
But I feel like some women do stay because they're like, all right, I have this thing that I can't get rid of. I might as well stay in this
Mm.
relationship, even though they're like upset maybe that the person gave them herpes. Sometimes people feel stuck that way. I know she says trapped in my marriage, but some people feel trapped in relationships because
Right.
of the other person having herpes just like them, and they
Mhm.
don't think anyone else is going to want them outside of that. What advice do you have for the female who might be in that predicament?
Ah, I had something similar to that of an experience like that when I was first diagnosed. I went through the whole thing of like, oh, ain't nobody gonna want me. I even at the time I was diagnosed, me and my son's father weren't even together anymore, and I was like crying all over that man, like, oh, ain't nobody gonna love me no more. And I wish that I had could go back in time and like smack this black off myself, like, girl, get it together. That ain't that at all. And I feel like with social media and just our generation in general not getting proper sexual education, we are forced into this box of believing all of these stigmas and stereotypes about people with STIs. And it makes the world seem very gloomy. It makes it seem like you don't have a choice in dealing with that. And you end up enduring a lot more than just being in a not so great relationship with somebody who has an STI. You can endure abuse, like verbal abuse or physical abuse and stuff like that, financial abuse and all types of stuff. So I feel for her because I completely understand what it's like to, feel like I need to hold on to this because I don't know if I'm ever going to have this experience again or if anybody's ever going to love me again. But I think that's when the work comes in and when you got to love yourself enough to know that I deserve better than this.
Yeah.
And one STD is enough. But this man gave her two. Oh, we got to fight about that one. We got to go outside about that, sir. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I would have left well before then, but I am glad that she did leave.
I know.
It's
After the second one, she was like, okay.
like, that's enough.
First time, all right. Second time, I'm not doing this a third time. So shout out to her for even getting out of that situation after the second time.
Right. Sometimes it takes people longer to learn the lesson, but the point is that she learned the lesson. So we clap for that because she deserves that.
That part, most definitely. Okay. So she was like, let's see, a few months later, I met my husband. I was very insecure about revealing my status because I was embarrassed and ashamed. I told my hubby a day after we had sex, and he still stayed. Stop there. People who I feel like disclose before the sex part, first of
Yes.
all, just throw that out there. Right? But I always admire people who have the bravery to disclose after the fact. Because there has been a time in my past that I didn't disclose. And a large part of me not going public was being worried about that person finding out I didn't disclose, right? That person never came back to me and was like, you gave me herpes. It kind of just went away. But I remember, well, this year I've made a promise to my community that I will find him and I will have that conversation.
Okay.
I kind of went the cowardly route. Let me just put it out here in public. You'll see it. You know what I'm saying? You'll unpack, you'll figure out that way. But I feel like that person deserves that conversation with me.
Uh-oh.
So this year, I'm going to make it a point to find him. His name is Sean. And have that conversation with him. It was kind of like, so I explained my little situation.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking. Everything was just working out. But I always was like, we can't have sex until we get tested together. Right. And this is when I was very stigmatized. I wasn't who you see today. I was a whole different version of myself. And that was going to be my route into disclosing. Like, we're going to get test results, and then I'm going to that I have herpes.
That's a good idea. So everybody listening should try something like that if you're having a hard time disclosing.
Yeah. And here's the thing, and learn from my mistakes. Do not put yourself in a position where sex could possibly happen, knowing you haven't disclosed yet, and that's something you have to get done. I had every intention on disclosing, but he came over. I had friends over that night. Everyone got drunk. Some of the friends lived on post, so they walked home. He lived too far away, so he spent the night because he was too drunk to drive home. We are inebriated now. I can't even make sound decisions. I'm not even thinking about a disclosure at this time. So one thing, I put myself in a predicament where it could happen and I didn't disclose. And that's exactly what happened. So the next morning, I end up feeling guilt-ridden and absolutely terrible. I disappear out of this man's life. He probably thinks the sex was bad or everything was wrong with him. And that is not the case because he is perfection too. Okay. He's a great man, but because of how I felt about myself and because I was so stigma ridden at the time, I didn't have the courage to tell him after the fact. So I kind of shout out to this woman for being brave enough to disclose after the fact, because that's not easy. And that's even harder than initial disclosing to have to disclose
Mhm.
that.
Absolutely. I think that those types of situations are super difficult. So I definitely give props to anybody who has the courage to, once they end up doing the deed, to go back and, be truthful and disclose their status. I feel like I would always say definitely disclose before you do anything, but I'm a fan of like better late than never. If you like, I don't care if it's like 3 years into the relationship or y'all about to walk down the aisle tomorrow, and you still haven't disclosed. It's always better to do it late than to not do it at all.
Yeah.
It saves you a lot of heartache and trauma. It saves that person a lot of worry and headache as well. I don't think that there is anything wrong with waiting to disclose after the fact. Like, people need that time to like figure things out sometimes. So sometimes we live life out of order of the steps that we're supposed to take, that society says that we're supposed to take. Like, you're supposed to be married before you have kids, and you're supposed to get a college degree after high school, you're supposed to do this, that, and the third. And sometimes we don't always follow everything in those orders. So as long as you're taking the steps to be responsible, gotta give credit where it's due.
Yeah. Let's keep going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I feel trapped in my marriage because of herpes. When I first married my husband, I fell in love because he still accepted me with HSV. But he also, okay, we're gonna stop because she goes,
Yeah,
but he
because that's problematic.
because we need to talk about this part, but we also need to talk about that part. So
Yeah.
let's pause real quick. First, when I first got married, I fell in love because he accepted me with HSV. Oh, this is heavy. I
Mm-hmm.
always preach to the community that if you haven't learned how to accept it for yourself, don't date. You're not ready to date because we have a tendency of trying to fill voids.
Mm-hmm.
My acceptance is not enough. So when someone else is accepting this virus for me, it's filling something within me that I haven't filled for myself.
Right.
So I'm now like, oh, I need to be with this person. Oh, I'm so in love with this person because they can love a part of me that I can't even love within myself. Oh my gosh, this person is it for me. Let me put all my eggs in this one basket just because this person accepted you. When someone's acceptance of your status is bare minimum,
Right.
especially if you've done the work to accept that for yourself.
Please say that one more time for the people in the back.
Someone accepting your status is bare effing minimum.
Part. It's so true. It's literally the least you can do to have somebody speak their truth to you and you be accepting of that. Like, okay, thank you for telling me. Like, that's basic level stuff that everyone deserves. And it's even crazier because people will tell you they accept you and then sleep with you and then freak out on you afterwards. Like, oh my God, like, so you really didn't accept me in the first place. You were just saying, like, people just be talking half the time. So you never really know if that person's acceptance is true acceptance, because you can get into an argument with that person and they'll call you dirty in a heartbeat and throw your herpes status in your face. So that's where you got to really, when you get diagnosed, you really got to turn it to yourself and start doing some work.
Yeah.
You really got to reassure yourself and have a good understanding of yourself so that nothing and nobody can shake you when you're going through something in your relationship or in your personal life. Like, that is super important, to have that level of love, self-awareness, self-respect, and understanding for yourself before you have it for anybody else or accept that from anybody else. Like, I always tell my son, like, as long as you like you, that's what's most important. Everybody else's like is extra.
That part. That part.
Like,
Boop, boop. That part. I do the same thing with my son, and I even take it up a notch. He'd be like, I love you. You're the second best, mama. I'd be like, okay, good, 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 good. Because you're the best after me. I said, I know that's right. Or he'd be like,
okay, I like that.
or he'll go, I love you. I love you more than anything else in the world. And I'll be like, for real? He'd be like, actually, I love myself the most. And I love you right to be my.
Yes, we are starting them off right while they're young.
So I love that you do that with your son. I can
Cute.
relate. Let's keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But he also had genital warts. So she's just gonna slide by the fact that he didn't disclose to her neither. She's just gonna, she brush by that.
I hope that he disclosed that to her. Good Lord. I hope that she just missed writing that part in the story. But to have an STI and not disclose it and then try to turn around and be accepting of someone else's STI because they disclosed to you, like it's like they were playing a game of chicken or something, like who is going to disclose first.
That part. And you know what? This is why I think it is important that we see someone's full panel STD results before disclosure.
Mm-hmm.
Because 9 times out of 10, they probably don't even know they got something too.
Right.
Okay. And then 2, some people in our community is so stigmatized that they probably didn't even disclose to you. And they'll run with the fact that you just told them that you have herpes and make it seem like maybe you gave it to them.
Right. Ooh, that's some craziness. I gotta sit on that.
I've been coaching in this space going on 5 years now. People are
So
not coming.
you've seen some things, yeah.
Okay, they do that because they're so stigmatized about it, and they need a way of trying to put it out there, but taking that guilt
And
away.
ladies and gentlemen, this is just another example of reasons why you should disclose before adult therapy so that people can't pull no mess on you.
Let me see your stuff. Let me see what you
Okay.
got going on. Pretty please. Thank you. That part. I was dating a female.
Mhm.
And I was just in my process of celibacy, waiting for marriage, even though I didn't. I broke the seal. So mad I broke that seal. But I'm back into my celibacy. But
Mhm.
when I was dealing with her, she always knew that a requirement was to see full panel STD tests. So for actually, that wasn't my 30th. She took me to the Rocky Mountains for my 30th birthday.
Ooh,
And
okay.
she always wanted to visit Vermont. So I took her to Vermont for her birthday right after that.
Mhm.
And on her Vermont trip, she took it upon herself to have her full panel STD results. And she found out she tested positive for HSV 1 and 2.
Ooh, wow.
Now, say if we would have had sex, right?
Mm-hmm.
She would have got her STD test results and thought that I gave her herpes.
Right.
So this just goes to show, like, make sure you see their test results too, so we can just,
Definitely.
right?
So, and it's crazy because I've had instances where I've slept with people and then they'll go get tested like the day after. And it's just like, and I had the disclosure conversation beforehand. We talked about it, didn't quite follow the rule of seeing STD results, but this was when I was younger, so I'm not going to hold it against myself.
It
But
happened.
like, and then he to find out that he like ran to go get tested and it's like, everything came back negative. Well, of course it would. Like, you're not even aware of the fact that all STDs have incubation periods. It's not just gonna you sleep with somebody who's infected and then you get immediate results of like a yes, you don't, like the day after. Like, it takes time. Like, and that right there shows you exactly who you're dealing with, what level of maturity they have, what level of like conversation that they're willing to give to you, and all of that. So it's super important to make sure that you take those steps beforehand. Take it slow. Like, I am also in a celibacy journey right now. I'm not I haven't really decided on whether or not I'm like waiting for marriage. I don't even know if I'm gonna ever get married. But I'm not even trying to think that far ahead in the future. I just right now really want to take a break from dealing with the nonsense of like dating and relationships, situationships, all of that stuff. It's too much. Like, I'm sick of the sexual advances and the dick pics and all of this, but there's no conversation. There's no real effort to make chemistry. There's no effort to like really get to know me. And
Yeah.
it's like now people see my page, so they know I have herpes, and it's just like, okay, well, let's just jump straight into the sexy talk. And it's like, no, we still have to have that conversation, sir. I still need to know, what do you know about herpes or STIs in general? Have you ever had any STIs, like, or STDs, excuse me? Like, let's really sit down and talk about this. Let me see where your head is at and what you've been through. Lay all our cards on the table, and then we can see where it goes. But everybody wants to skip steps. I don't understand it.
Got it. I being so public about my status, I get my DMs get bombarded with people automatically. I got my STD results. Like that'd be the first thing they're saying to me. Like, you just want to sleep with me. You're not even trying to, you just in my DM talking about I got my full panel STD results. Nice, cool, but what makes you think I want to see them? What makes you think I want to take it there with you? Or I got the same thing you got, so what's up? What?
Yeah, but no, the craziest thing I've ever heard is that somebody with oral herpes told me that they didn't want to go down on me because they don't want to get herpes.
You already got it.
Like, what?
You need to be in it. You need to be swimming in it right
And I'm
about.
just like, okay, like, yikes.
Your lack of knowledge makes me not even want to move forward with you, sir, or ma'am, whoever
Yeah.
it is, or them, whatever, them, her, everybody, whoever.
So, and it's those situations like that really make me want to like take a step back and like, okay, I am dealing with the wrong type of people. I have put out the wrong energy, or I've ended up in the wrong crowd. Let me sit down in the house for a little bit. Let me turn all this sexy off and just chill out for a little bit, and then see what happens. When maybe the people will get their together by the time I jump back in this thing.
Yep, that's right.
Fingers crossed.
All right. So let's get back to our story real quick, right? That last line was, when I first met my husband, I fell in love because he accepted me with HSV, but he also had genital warts. He knew before we met, but he never got tested. Then she goes, I feel so stuck in my marriage. That stuck in my marriage part. A lot of people, not just her, but a lot of people feel stuck in their relationships because of their STD diagnosis. This person accepts me. Like, after this, I'm gonna have to go out there and have to disclose and find somebody. What if I don't ever find somebody to accept me again? My thing is, you got to choose your heart. Do you want to disclose to people and find out who is for you and who's not for you? Or do you want to stay stuck in a marriage or a relationship that you're already miserable in? Like, I'd rather be miserable by myself than be miserable with somebody else.
Okay.
Oh, like, well, even think about who's gonna accept me. Let's just talk about that. I would be miserable and alone than be miserable in a relationship. So I'm trying to figure out what is that need, this codependency, the need to.
It's I think some of it stems it like it's a multitude of things. Like it could be like childhood trauma, like they didn't get enough love in their childhood, so now they like cling to every little bit of love they ever get in their lives. Or it could be relationship trauma of like, past relationships I didn't feel loved or cared for, and this was before the herpes diagnosis. So, I really don't feel like anybody's gonna care about me now, but this person does, and he seems like the only person. But he's also the only person she met and messed around with after she got diagnosed with herpes.
Yeah.
So it's like you put yourself in a position to settle for this person. And that's like what we've been saying the whole time is like when you get diagnosed with anything, not just herpes, but with anything, you really got to sit down with yourself and really take some time to unpack all of that, unlearn all of the stereotypes that you've heard of or, witnessed and seen on TV, because none of that stuff is going anywhere.
Yeah.
As long as there's comedians and actresses and movies being made and stuff, there will always be herpes jokes. There will always be skits about people having bum bumps and all of that stuff. They're constantly going to find ways to make content surrounding this, trying to make it funny or trying to shame people into thinking that they're nasty because they have an STI. And if you can't, if that stuff makes it hard for you to look yourself in the mirror the next day, like, that's a problem. You really got to work on that, because that stuff's not going anywhere. And you should feel like, well, neither am I. I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to be me. I'm still going to be happy. I'm still going to be healthy. I'm still going to participate in my life. I'm still gonna, have fun and interact with people, not just on like a dating level, but just like being out in the world and society anyways. Because a lot of people end up closing themselves off and feeling like they have to hide from everything and everybody because it's taking over their entire lives. And it's like, I've been living with this for 4 years, and I am finally starting to feel like herpes is just a blip on the radar.
Mm.
It has very little to effect on my life. Like, it doesn't, even when I have an outbreak, that doesn't necessarily bother me or stop the show. I still got shit to do. I'm a mother, okay? Like, I got stuff to do. I don't got time to be sitting around boo-hooing about this. We are amazingly strong, powerful people. Our mindsets are so amazingly strong and powerful when you decide to put knowledge and effort and love into that part of yourself.
Yeah.
So that's where the love and the acceptance should start. It should start with you. It should not come from an outside source. If that's where you're looking, you need to stop.
Yeah. Take a pause from break-in, figure out why your acceptance and why your wound is not enough to bring you joy, to bring you peace, and to bring you happiness. A lot of people searching for this type of happiness in their relationship. But if I would have asked them right now, put 10 seconds on the clock, list 10 things that make you happy, they wouldn't even be able to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like you can't jump into a relationship expecting someone else to make you happy when you don't even know how to make yourself happy. You'll never find
Right.
happiness that way. And then you find yourself trapped in these marriages due to something a little bit as them accepting your status.
Mm-hmm.
Something as small as your acceptance not being enough, and then feeling trapped in that relationship. I'm listening to what you had to say, and it goes to what I'm constantly telling the community. There's always going to be a reason why someone may accept you or reject you. Herpes just becomes a part of that list. Some people might not want you because you smoke cigarettes. Some people might not want you because you drink alcohol. Some people might not want you because you didn't graduate from high school. Some people might not want you because you never went to college. Some people might not want you because you're overweight. Some people might not want you because you're too skinny.
Right. The list of reasons can be long.
Because you're black. Some people might not want you because you're white. Some people might not want you. It's so many reasons why someone may or may not want you. Herpes just becomes part of that list. Oh, this was nice.
It was. I loved it. I like the story, and I really hope that this young lady was able to find a way through that situation.
Yeah.
What I really feel like is that, because I don't feel like she's trapped in her marriage unless she wants to leave, and but she's afraid that nobody else will accept her. If you want to leave that man, that's a whole other thing. But I think it's really that she has to do work to accept herself, and hope. I would have thought that by now, depending on how long they've been married, that maybe her partner would have helped her on her journey and pushed her to find a way to love herself. But maybe he's been capitalizing off of that this entire time, trying to keep her in this relationship because he knows it's not really working out for the two of them. So I really do hope that, that I'm sure you gave her some good advice. I'm hopeful that the people in her life gave her some good advice and that she's able to work her way through that situation. She has you, an amazing herpes advocate. She has a million, well, not a million, but a bunch of other wonderful, amazing herpes advocates to reach out to. She has me now, so hopefully she'll find my page and she'll want to check out my content or send me some messages or something. Like, I hope to be able to do something really powerful with this community and with this type of content. Like, we have the power to really help people through some tough situations and find their way through the other side, see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
So I hope she's still trucking through that tunnel and she see that light, girl. Keep pushing. Keep going, because the self-love and acceptance is right at the finish line when you get there, but you gotta do the work. It's not gonna come for free.
That part.
Mm,
Thank you.
sipping on that one.
Please let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, or on Threads. I am the sex_enthusiast.
Okay, I love that. Hopefully, we can have you back. We can do another story. I'm just so thankful to have you here. Thank you for the work that you do. I admire anyone who has the courage to share their story and want to help dismantle this stigma. What you're doing is huge. You deserve all the praise, all the accolades, all the blessings coming your way. So, thank you.
Thank you. That means a lot to me, especially coming from you. I've been watching you for a while, and I have been enjoying the time. I've been enjoying the content, the information, all the lives, the cousin group. Like, you are a phenomenal woman, and you have done something so amazing and inspiring, and you are helping millions of people. You are touching and changing lives, honey. And I respect you so much, and I appreciate you. I'm giving you yours like you giving me mine, because we got to give each other our flowers. I love you. Thank you for having
Received.
me.
Received. I love you.
I
Bye.
love you too.